One of the most important factors in whether or not you're gonna get sales on Etsy is your SEO, and in specifically the SEO in your titles. And so in this video today, I'm gonna share with you how I go about creating a well-curated Etsy title and knowing all of the different research that I've done, how you can do this as well and make sure that you're gonna rank higher on Etsy. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Mac. I post videos talking about e-commerce, passive income, different ways to make money online, and all things Etsy. So if that interests you, I would love to have you as a part of our community here on YouTube. Now, like I said, SEO is extremely important, especially in your title on Etsy, because that is how people are going to find your listing. That's how those potential customers are gonna type in their term in Etsy and your product pop up. But there's a lot of important things to note when it comes to that, because we need to be making sure that we're using relevant keywords in our SEO. So first things first, SEO stands for search engine optimization. This is basically a fancy way of saying what you type in the search bar and how Etsy puts your products in front of the correct customer. And while this may seem simple, it's actually not. And there is a lot more research that should be going into your titles rather than just typing a bunch of words that you think make sense. And something else that we also need to be aware of when selling on an e-commerce platform like Etsy is that there is competition, and so we need to be using keywords that have high search volumes but lower competition in order to rank higher in visibility on the Etsy search. Now, some people will argue that your title on Etsy is not the most important thing, that it's going to factor in a lot of different other reasons for your Etsy listing. And while that is true, I'm a firm believer that your title is extremely important and something that you should be taking extra time to curate, because if you don't type in the right keywords, Etsy's not gonna know who to put you in front of. It's not gonna know who to show your products to. And that just gets messy. And then you can have this amazing product with beautifully done mock-ups, great videos that you're showing in there, your description, your price, everything's good. But if your title isn't showing to the correct consumer, they're not gonna find your product, and that means they can't purchase it. So I think the titles are very, very important, just from my own personal experience. And according to Etsy, they do look at multiple things with your title and your tags. So they're looking at attributes, they're looking at the categories you select, and factoring in your title with that, meaning that everything should be aligning with similar keywords, categories, and all of that. So it is about, curating the best listing possible, but we do need to put time into our title and do our keyword research. On the Etsy Seller Handbook, I will link this below for you. According to this article, for the titles, while they are factoring in all of those other things like I just mentioned, they're saying that they want the seller to focus on clear, concise, descriptive titles that can be easily read by a potential customer. So basically what Etsy's telling you is they don't need you to stuff your titles with a bunch of random words. They want it to be clear, concise, easy for that customer to read and make a purchase and not confuse them. All right, so let's get into creating a title. And there's a few important things that I want you to keep in mind when creating your title. The first thing is the structure of your title and how long your title should be. Now, according to Etsy, they are looking at the first 4 to 6 words that you put in your title. Now, words are separated by commas. You never want to separate your words by an L or one of those dashes. Etsy may count that as a word, and that's not something that anyone's searching for. So always use commas. That is the best way that Etsy determines the end of a word in their algorithm, along with when you're doing your tags as well, and keep that in mind in your description. So for example, if we are selling a digital invitation for a wedding, we could put in our title, digital wedding invitation, then followed by digital download and other important keywords that we're gonna search for in just a moment. And all of these keywords are very relevant to what my item is in those first few opportunities that we have, and that what Etsy says is most important. So we wanna avoid anything that can be irrelevant. You don't wanna use your shop name. You don't wanna put words that don't go. You don't wanna just slip random things in there that you think a customer would type. Etsy wants to show their customers really exact search queries for what they're typing in, because that's going to help them to get more sales. And the more sales that you make, the more sales Etsy is going to, be pocketing money from. So they want you to have success as well. And so following their guidelines is super important. So let's get into the next important thing in your title, which is doing our keyword research. Now, this sometimes people overcomplicate and they get confused by, but overall, we just want to look at what keywords are worth our time to use in our titles. And we're looking for keywords that are not super super saturated on an e-commerce marketplace like Etsy. So it's important that we look for a high search volume with a moderate to lower competition, meaning that a lot of Etsy sellers aren't using that word or as many as the search. So how you can do keyword research, there are a few options. You can either just use your Etsy search bar by typing in different keywords and taking note of bestseller listings, or by following through on the star sellers and seeing, products that are most likely recommended on your page, or the ones that are having those badges again on Etsy showing they're selling a lot. And you can curate keywords through that. But the better and more effective way is to use a Chrome extension. I personally love to use EverBee. If you've followed my channel for a while, you may know that I've been using them and I absolutely love them. And what it is, it's a Chrome extension, so it syncs directly with your Etsy shop, so you can see what keywords you should and should not be using just by doing a simple search. So like I said, you can type in the exact phrase that you want just in the Etsy search bar. So let's do that quick. Minimal digital wedding invitation. And like I said, you can go ahead and take different keywords from these bestseller listings. We don't want to copy someone's title exactly. That's not going to work for you. But we do want to, curate a title from here. But what I'm going to do is take it a step further, like I said, and use EverBee. And over here on my extension, I'm going to click the keyword research button, and I'm going to type in different keywords into this to get the actual facts of how many people are selling products with that keyword and how many people are searching for it. So here's all the keywords that it's showing to me that are related and that people type in, and it's showing me those stats. Something that I always find very interesting when I'm doing my keyword research, and something that you could test out for yourself, is noticing that when words are misspelled, they have a better chance of reaching customers. So as you can see here, wedding invitate, which is obviously like wedding invite spelled wrong, it is showing a search volume of 3,481 with a competition of only 363. Making the keyword score almost 10,000 according to EverBee. Now this could actually be pretty helpful because when we're creating our title, we don't want to repeat words because Etsy already sees that word in the title once. They don't need to see it again, unless it's a part of a long tail keyword, which is essentially a sentence. But if we were to put wedding invitate in our first few keywords, I'm curious to see if that would work out in our benefit, followed by wedding invitation that's spelled correctly, so that we'd be kind of trying to dabble into both of those search terms. So overall, what I do here is I just go through and I type in the different phrases up here at the top, and then I make a document of all the keywords that I may potentially want to use, so that way I can structure my title later. Now, another hack that I like to do when I'm doing my keyword research is using, again, the Etsy search bar, and I'm going to type in digital wedding invitation. And this way I can kind of spy on my competitors' listings. So this one is a bestseller minimalist electronic wedding invitation. So this is basically what I was looking to sell, right? So I can just click that little B and it pops up everything about this listing that is clearly doing pretty well here, okay? Their product's $12 and they're making around $300 in passive income because this is a digital product, which is great. And what it's showing here is all of the keywords that they're using. And it just shows us everything. So it's a little way to spy and a way that we can use these different keywords that clearly customers that are interested in a similar product as what we're selling are typing in because this is working for them. So I'm not telling you to copy this title completely. That's not what I'm telling you to do. We're just keeping in mind what their title is structured like and what keywords they're using. So as you can see, minimalist electronic wedding invitation, wedding digital, modern online invitation details, wedding invite smartphone. Very interesting, but that's what's working for them. So hopefully you can see what I'm saying here of just seeing the search for terms, looking at their competition and how we can actually see they're performing versus what people are typing in versus what people are buying and how many people are selling with that keyword. So what I recommend you do after you've done that research is to go ahead and make a document. Put in all of your keywords that you see, all the ones that you're seeing repeated, all the ones that you're seeing with the higher search volume, lower competition. Now you can use keywords that still have a high search volume with a high competition. It's just we don't want to prioritize those keywords when we make our title. So just put all of them on a Google Doc. You can even mark them which ones are, the lower competition, that is something we can keep in mind for later. But that way, when we create our title, we have it on hand, ready to go, and we can even switch out different things for similar products as well. All right, so I'm gonna start building this title now that I have my list made, as I said to make. So this has a bunch of different keywords that I was doing my research on, as I just showed you. So I'm gonna start creating my title. Again, with the most important keywords being in the front there. In what I did on my research, I noticed that minimal, wedding, and invitation were most important. So I'm going to type minimalist, wedding. I'm gonna follow that by a comma, and I'm gonna put digital, wedding, invite, where I'm spelling it in that word that I saw on my research there, because by putting invitation again, that's not really doing us any good, because Etsy already sees that that's an invitation in the first keyword, so we don't need to put it twice. All right, so here's the title that I'm coming up with for this exact invitation. I could also include colors, or if I used a Canva link, if that's something that the customer is going to need to use, we could put that in as well. So we could say black and white Canva template or something like that if we still had room for it. But just letting you know that, again, those less important things for the search term should be towards the end, and we don't want to put a bunch of random things just to fill in the exact title amount. So the characters it is allowing is 140 for a title. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need 140 characters. Now, if you asked me this a few years ago, I would have told you to use every single character, but with the way that Etsy is evolving now, I personally think it's not as important. It's more important to follow what they're saying and to use clear, concise titles that are clearly what people are searching for. So I want to talk about a few important things before I end this video, and one of them being a question that I get asked a lot, and that is, should I change out my titles if I'm not seeing any traffic? My overall answer to that question would be yes. However, there's a few things that I would want you to evaluate before you just go ahead and change your title all the time. So the very first thing is to check your analytics after around a week to see if you've gotten any clicks or favorites on your item. If it's dead silent and there's no favorites, no clicks, you have a problem, and it's most likely with your SEO or your photos. Now, if you are having clicks and there's no one favoriting your item, but you are getting views, potentially you're getting views for that search that you've typed in. So I would not mess with the title yet. Again, you want to wait a little bit to see these analytics, because the algorithm can push your listing through depending on a few things. If someone's clicking on the item, if someone's favoriting it. So don't mess with it too early on is basically what I'm saying. But if you have that listing up for, like 2 weeks and you're getting no traffic, no clicks, there's clearly an issue. So yes, I would edit the title. I would reconsider your pictures as well. Something else that you can do if you do not want to edit your title right away is making a duplicate listing and changing out a few different things. So this essentially means that you're selling the same product and you are creating a duplicate listing. However, you're testing out how that's going to work with the algorithm. And so what you would do is use either the same keywords that you used in that title moved around, or using a completely different title and with that same structure for the same product and seeing which performs better. If you do this, I do recommend changing up your photo as well. That way you can kind of see what people are looking for. And if you do this, please do not abuse it, because Etsy will know, and we don't want 30 duplicate listings on our store, because that's number one, spammy and not what we're looking for. And number two, it's just not what Etsy is going to favor. So don't go crazy with that, but feel free to do like 1 or 2 duplicate listings with, again, making sure those titles are different and even the tags, like move stuff around so that it's not just the same listing over and over and over, because again, that's going to be spammy to the Etsy algorithm and all of the bots that we are skeptical about right now that we feel are searching through Etsy. So be aware of that. I don't want you to get, suspended or anything. So if you choose to do that, be aware, change your photos, change the title, and kind of test out which works. So overall, at the end of this video, I hope that something in here was helpful to you. I want you to keep in mind to not overthink your titles, but just do a little bit of research beforehand. Don't throw random words, and have an idea of how your title structure is going to go. Etsy is a curve. Etsy is always changing, and that's why as sellers, we need to be adapting to that as well. I mean, any e-commerce platform or marketplace like Etsy, things are changing. Things are changing for Google search terms as well. So we just want to be up to date and making sure that we're doing our research. So let me know if this was helpful. I am going to be leaving a guide below for you, an SEO guide, if you want to grab that too. It's in the description, and of course, along with EverBee, which is the Chrome extension that I used today, they will be linked below for you as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.